All right, guys, welcome back to the channel, to video number 1 of the Porsche 935 Martini build. So we're going to need our directions. And since in the description I mentioned that we are going to be building it alongside with our Scale Motorsports super detailed with turned aluminum components, brass and nickel, silver, photo etch, braided hose and plumbing, assembly and plumbing manuals, and it even came with a 935 up close and mechanical photo library, which I went ahead and photocopied a lot of them. So it has just crazy details all throughout for anything I might need along my journey. So very kind of cool that you get all of that stuff when you order this little set from Scale Motorsports. So I have also started to do something else in my model building. I picked up these cool cases at Hobby Lobby because sometimes when I don't have time to build, I still have time to like tinker and cut parts and sand them. So I bought these neat cases, they're double-sided, so you could have multiple projects. But so what I did is, like for step 1, chamber number 1, I went ahead and I have everything that I'm gonna need that would fit in this box for step 1, already cut, already cleaned up, and ready for either paint or assembly. So it kind of aids in my time. So I have, when I sit down, I'm not just doing cutting and cleaning and all that kind of stuff. So, so for step 1, which of course it says that I need the chassis as well. But for all the parts that I need for step 1, we've got B4 and B5, which right here, it says to glue them together, and that forms this nice little rendition right here. So what we're going to do is pull all of these parts and make sure what we need to paint and what we still need to get ready, and hopefully not drop any on the floor or anything like that. And I guess I didn't get everything cut out because I'm realizing I still have some parts over here, K17, 3 of them. I have B7 that I obviously haven't cut out. There's actually a bunch of pieces that I didn't cut out. So I will go get some stuff and I will be right back. All right, guys, I'm back. Had to adjust the camera angle and all those sorts of good things. So I'm still trying to get all these parts together. So after I talked a mean game and said I had everything organized in this handy little case that I got, I am realizing that perhaps I don't have everything put together and ready. So I'm going to grab me some parts and we're going to actually go back to old school and cut and prime and all that good kind of stuff. So hold tight. All right, so we started off with B4 and B5, glued those together, sanded and got rid of the seam, and that is going to be painted TS26, which is Tamiya's pure white. Right down here, pure white. So I'm gonna probably put a bunch of pieces together that all need to be pure white. So we have B4 and B4 and B5. And I'm gonna go grab the chassis real quick so we make sure we cut this part out that has to be removed, and this part that we're gonna use later. It'll tell us where. I believe it's right here. We just gotta glue it down into the chassis. So we're gonna grab B7, and we've already got B1. It's already cut out, but right here. We already have, I don't think we have B15. We have the chassis part that we cut out right here. So it is ready. We have B4, B5. Sometimes it sounds like I'm playing Battleship. We have B12, which is going to be painted LP3, which I believe is flat black. LP3 is flat black. So I've got that cut out. So we're going to need B15, B13. We have this little black part here, which I do not know what it is for, but we'll have to find out. So let me go grab the chassis and the B sprue so we can cut some of these parts off. All right, I think I know what happened, why I don't want to know what some of these parts are, and I think I actually cut out the pieces for the Jägermeister. And that's what, so technically I can use this from the Jägermeister, but I hadn't cut this out of the chassis already. So these parts that I cut out were for the Jägermeister. There's that little black part that I was trying to figure out what it's from. So some of these I can use and some of them I can't. So we are going to put this little part, all of these back into the case, except for B4 and B5, because that's ready to go and I don't want to have to cut it out again. So we're going to take our chassis and we're going to cut these parts off of the sprue. Get these all mated together. I believe this part here ends up going down to the chassis here, which kind of makes me wonder why didn't they just, why is that a part that you glue in separately? Why wouldn't you just mold that in place? Especially when it doesn't seem like it really wants to fit in the notches. Yeah, it fits there. But again, it just begs the question, why would you have that separate? Chassis parts. Remove, then glue to the chassis. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to listen to what they say. And depending on how this goes, the way it dries, I almost think that you're going to end up having to, which again, if anybody can leave in the comments why that wouldn't have been molded all in place, I just find it weird that now you've got a seam that you would have to fill, unless that's in the real car, would be like an access panel maybe, and maybe that's why it's done that way. But we're just gonna let that set up and glue. And while we're at it, this part here will fit right in there, right down on those little bump stops. So that'll just sit right in there. And I'm wondering, should I paint that now or try to paint all these at one time? So I've got some sanding and fixing some seams down here first before I do any painting. But let us go ahead and pull that off. Now let's just move straight over to here and find B7 and K17. All right. So I've got the B parts and I've got the K parts, which K parts are three of these, whatever they are. But I can't glue those in until I actually do some painting. So I'm going to locate them. They are right here. K17, these little chrome parts here, which is this front panel here. So that's basically what you're building. But I need to get this and all of this painted pure white first, because this is pure white. B6 is pure white. The entire chassis is pure white except for all these gray areas that have to be flat black. So I'm gonna assemble B13, B11, glue it in place, see if I can glue this in place, and then add K17 after painting. So that's what we're gonna do real quick for all of this. It's going to be real fun when I have to start looking at 2 instruction sheets, the one for the Scale Motorsports detail set, and then the regular Tamiya directions. So here's the front panel here, B7. So it's saying glue this into the front chassis like that. And those chrome, I can only think that there's some sort of reservoirs go down inside there, which I think I'll be able to glue those in after I get everything painted. So, but this fits actually really snug. So I wouldn't even really have to glue that right now. I could just place that in place and then take it off and glue those parts in. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Just set that in there real quick. And let's grab B13. And B11. Now it has 2 little sink marks on this piece here. Don't know if you can see it. So I'm going to remove those. I should look ahead to see if there's something that's glued on top of that to determine whether I need to remove those. As far as, do I need to go through all that work? If something's going to be sitting on top of it and hiding it, it probably is going to be, it almost looks like where a battery would go. Okay, it is an oil tank that goes in there. So I don't have to, I'm going to scrape it smooth, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to worry too much about how it looks because something's going to be covering it. So I'm just going to go ahead and take this down a little bit just so it's smooth. So that way if the oil tank fits a little bit better in the long run. Just take a little Tamiya cement, rub it in there. A little bit right there. That there. Make sure this lines up. Kind of hold it while glue sets up. Kind of melts those pieces together. It's so good to get back to actual building and having a project. It gives me such peace of mind sometimes just coming out here and sitting and working. You get to not worry too much about the rest of everything else you got going on. Nice little escape. All right, we'll let that dry real good. That's a lot of glue on there. I got too much. After that fully dries, I'm going to go in there and kind of sand that down just so it's nice and smooth. So that piece is ready. So this little piece B12. I'm going to keep knocking that out. I just know it. It's kind of hard to get this whole thing in focus because it's so dang big. So let's grab B12. And I usually just cut a little bit away from the sprue. That way I can come back in and kind of fine tune it. Especially when it's weird in a corner or in a curve. Let's get you out of the way. And sometimes I use sanding sticks, but sometimes if I get lucky enough, I can just take my time and just trim away. Almost just whittling a little bit. I can come back in like this if I really want to be fancy. And then that says to glue it right along there. It doesn't have an exact, but just kind of right in there. So I'll just press it so it fits. Get you some Tamiya glue. Run it down in that seam. Try to glue that all in because we'll have to mask that off, and after we shoot the white and let it cure, we'll have to mask it off and shoot at the flat black. And I told myself the last couple builds I was doing is just to take my time from this point on. A buddy of mine was going through some stuff and was told, just finish one project, just finish one. And that got me thinking, I'm like a squirrel and always want to work on another one because I see something and I'm like, ooh, I want to build that. Ooh, competition's coming up. I want to get that done. Ooh, I want to get that done. At the end of the day, I wasn't getting anything done. So now I'm really trying to stay focused and get some stuff built. Now with this, it's tricky because some of these circles down here are sink marks, but some of them are actually part of the floor and have to be left there. I believe that's a sink mark. I believe that's a sink mark. I believe back here is a sink mark. Back here, yada yada. I think the big ones are sink marks. But what I need to do is kind of go ahead and see, is there a seat covering those? Because if there's a seat covering it, do I need to take the time to fill, sand, and all that? So again, a lot of, investigative of future steps to see what we need to do and what we don't need to do. So I'm now going to grab B3. I'm sorry. I'm going to grab B1. And we're going to put that right in that little hole back there. Again, it almost snapped tight. All right. Get that handled, Now for this back area, we need B6, which is weird because it's two parts, but I guess they're both B6. So I guess that just means they're mirror images of each other, and it doesn't matter. Gonna have some seams to clean up on those. Definitely. So a little flash on that. I might stop it from sitting really well together. Now I'll just go over those seams. Let some glue seep down in there. See, once I actually finish step 1 of what I'm showing you here on the Martini one. Am I saying that right? Martini. Yeah, I guess just like the drink. That's weird. Okay, so once I finish showing you step by step of the Martini build, off screen, I'll go ahead and do step 1 of the Jägermeister, so I'm doing them at the same time. It may get tiring and I may stop doing it that way and just focus on one, but it just really depends. I'm gonna let that glue set up before I try to work on some of those seams. But technically this will go right back in here when it's all dried and sanded and looking pretty. So we'll just set that. You couldn't see that, probably not. So we'll get B3 ready. And that will sit a hole there. There's some notches back along this edge that'll just sit right down on after you put that part in. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and glue everything I can in here first to do step 1, and then that way I can shoot pure white on everything. Once this also has, I have to drill a hole for the little piece of photo etch down here. Part number 30, which it doesn't say to paint it any color, which is kind of curious. But so I have to drill a hole. It says here it's a 1 millimeter hole, and it's 20 millimeters from apparently this little hole right here, if you can see it. So I have to measure from there, 20 millimeters, and drill a hole for that. So I will go get my measuring apparatuses, which I have one right here, which I can't get to it because my stupid tripod is in the way, and I don't want to knock my camera over. Yeah, that wasn't very good thinking, was it? So we will go ahead and pause the video right here, and I'll be back after I measure and get some other stuff ready. All right, guys, welcome back. I made a little bit of progress. I have gotten all of step 1 done except painting. And when I mean painting, I mean coming in and masking off and painting all of the flat black of the cockpit area. So this is the Martini build here, and this is the Jägermeister, which, as you can tell, I still have to mask off all in here and paint it black as well. But I have to paint it the lovely orange color that I picked up from a little place out in Murfreesboro called English Color and Supply. So I gave them the actual paint code, and they mixed me up a little bit. Actually only 4 ounces, which I'm going to double, and hopefully that's enough because I have the body and everything else. But if it's not, then I'll just go ahead and get another 4 or 8 ounces next time. So yeah, it's kind of cool. I looked up the paint code and was able to find it and got myself the actual paint. So I have to paint that probably Tuesday night. I wanted to give it a chance to set up. The primer that I use is the new primer that I watched a YouTuber. He does a lot of reviews on paints and tools and equipment and all that good kind of stuff. Barbados Rex. And he showcased this primer recently. And I ordered 3 cans. I ordered a matte white, a yellow, and a gray. And so far I'm very, very impressed with it. The way it covers The way it handles masking, none of it came up when I was masking all of this up. And it's probably, it feels like it's twice the size of the Tamiya can white primer. So I'm going to give this a shot and see how it continues to work. And I think right now I'm getting more bang for my buck, so that's always important. But it went on just really, really smooth and really nice. Coverage was really good. So I can't wrap up step 1 yet, but I'm getting close. The Martini, is wrapped up step 1. So I may go ahead and put out the video so that way you guys don't have to wait. And then when I work on video number 2, this one will be orange and black. So thank you guys for watching. Appreciate you. I'm looking forward to this build so much. It's exciting to get to going on all this photo etch and aluminum and all that good stuff. So if you like the video, give me a thumbs up or a like. And if you haven't subscribed and you want to, give me a subscription. I appreciate you. Have a great night, and we'll see you next time.